Though the United States makes up only 5% of the world's population, we are responsible for roughly 25% of those incarcerated. Many school systems have followed the trend of the courts in adopting harsher policies and simply removing students whose problematic behavior is perceived to be getting in the way of their and others' ability to learn. These harsh, zero-tolerance policies were justified by the perception that the public was being increasingly flooded with crime. If schools didn't crack down, they risked losing funding. Now, more than ever, schools resort to over-disciplining misbehaving students. They are more likely to rely on guards, cameras, and metal detectors to monitor their students. They suspend, expel, and refer students to law enforcement for negative behaviors that could be handled with alternative methods. Unfortunately, the majority of the criminalization of juvenile behavior is being most negatively felt by poor students of color. Teachers in these underserved communities are often ill-equipped to adapt to their teaching styles to cater these types of students so that they can succeed. Instead, they adopt this mindset that poor students of color are not worth investing time and resources into because they are prison-bound. Because of the lack of resources, they choose to save their resources for those who believe to have a better chance of succeeding. In addition, when students feel that the educational system is not made for them to succeed, they have fewer reasons to behave. They do not take classes seriously, master the class material, or feel as inclined to stay in school. As a result, these students look for alternative ways to create a feeling of self-worth. Oftentimes, this self-worth is found by engaging in deviant behavior, funneling them into the justice system. Think of a system as a pipeline, a cycle that is near impossible to escape. How can we change this? How can youth deemed criminals break out of this cycle of negative reproduction and truly be rehabilitated? Policies surrounding these schools and juvenile detention centers need to be altered to form a less oppressive, more understanding environment. Many of these youth get involved in such behavior due to difficult home lives. They are often poor students of color that are not given much support, so they turn to labeled criminal behavior such as participating in gangs. With support and community can come a rise in self-esteem levels, resources for them to continue their education, and more effort and reason to stay out of the juvenile justice system. The policy needs to have clearer punishments laid out as well as alternatives to suspension. Students need to have continuous support and opportunities to learn. Our policy would suggest an after-school program as an alternative to suspension in which the students are mentored by community members, law students, and people who were themselves once in the juvenile justice system. It would be aimed at helping them know their rights and all their options once out of the system. Additionally, it would lay out guidelines on how to avoid getting stuck in the criminal justice system at an older age, allowing each student to have their own mentor, like a big brother, big sister type program. The mentors would help with self-care, self-respect, and self-esteem, letting the students know that they have much more potential than they might initially believe and giving them opportunities for another pathway to go. Within these sessions, the students may be given lessons on how to apply for jobs and how to fill out their individual resumes to set up for a positive future. Why should it be funded? This pipeline issue in the juvenile justice system not only leads to more youth incarceration, but it also diminishes their opportunities for learning and contributing to our society. More and more youth are being labeled as criminals and deviants, causing them to have low self-esteem and low self-worth. With this negative worldview, they turn to even more detrimental behavior, and as they grow older, will end up being a part of our prison system. The prison system in the United States is also a cycle of reproducing crime and costing our country far too much money. Giving youth opportunities to learn and rehabilitate rather than just being punished allows them the chance to break out of the system and succeed. This benefits our economy as there would likely be less people in prison if we break the cycle at a younger age. Youth in the juvenile justice system struggle tremendously through this vicious pipeline, and we believe that this rehabilitation program for positive growth with self-esteem and self-worth will help break this continuous cycle.